I'm getting you out of here.
No, no, you're not. No, don't let her go. Don't ever let her go. Send me out with a bang.
Dude, I am so sorry. As a grown adult, I am fully aware that nothing lasts forever, but in a world of digital media, downloads, and subscriptions, it kind of feels like these digital forms of content should last longer than physical forms of content. They don't have the same kind of things that wear them out, but that actually really doesn't happen. And a lot of it comes from the fact that they rely on one source of distribution, i.e. a company that can shut off that source of distribution at a moment's notice. For example, look at the Nintendo Wii U or the DS eShops, or the most recent example, the Xbox 360 online store. You may know this about me already, but I am a massive physical media advocate. When it comes to TV shows and movies, if I can buy it on disc, I am absolutely doing that. And when I owned a modern console, I would buy all the games on disc as well. But the reality is that smaller developers who maybe don't have the same platform to distribute things on disc will opt for these online stores because they're cheaper and they can still reach a massive amount of people. And that's great until these stores shut down. And when these stores shut down, where are you going to get the game from? And to be completely honest, I'm not smart enough or skilled enough to really have a solid solution for this. Now, don't get me wrong, there are some solutions to this problem, like soft modding your Xbox, downloading a copy of the game from somebody who's distributing it, and then, playing it that way, which is kind of a gray area. And then there's the more legal way of doing it, which is to buy it on the online store before it closes, download the game, and then never delete it, which, yes, I know that you can still download the game after purchase, even after the store is closed, but who knows how long that's going to last. Anyway, that's really not the point of this video. The point of this video is to explain how the effects of online game stores closing are only going to get worse and worse. So to start out, let's take a step back to the original Xbox, the PS2, and the GameCube's end-of-life days. Back when these games came out during the 6th generation of consoles, discs were the main way of playing games, with the exception of the 2004 Xbox Live Arcade store. And if you look, when these consoles stopped being sold, the prices of the games went way, way down, and this happened for a couple reasons. One of the reasons was because there were a ton of copies of these games made and sold. For example, God of War sold 4.6 million copies, and Halo 2 sold 8 million copies. That is a massive number of discs out in the wild. And on top of that, once the new generation of consoles came out, people started selling or trading in these older games, which flooded the secondhand market, bringing the prices down even further. But now let's move forward to the 7th generation of consoles with the Xbox 360, the PS3, and the Wii. And this generation of consoles introduced online game stores to the mainstream console market. This was the PSN shop, the eShop for Nintendo, and of course the Xbox 360 online store. And because these markets were introduced, there were a lot of games that were introduced as exclusives for these shops that were never actually printed to disc and sold physically. And I mean, that's fine while the servers are online. But the instant these servers shut off, these games go away. These pieces of art that people put time and effort into just vanish if they're not preserved. But here's the thing, it's not just these small titles going away that sucks. I mean, it's obviously the most notable because these games are just gone entirely, but this kind of market closure also has an effect on the physical games that were sold for these consoles. Take a look at this chart. This chart shows the prices of Xbox 360 games over the year. And you notice how it starts to go up towards the end? Well, this is because older games are obviously going to be harder to find, and that brings the price of them up in the market. That's not really uncommon. And on top of that, these game prices aren't really that high. It's about $5, so a bump isn't going to be the end of the world. But now let's play a what-if game. Let's pretend for a minute that a game comes out that is sold more digitally than it is physically. Well, you don't have to pretend because that's actually what's happening. Digital sales are higher than physical sales on average when it comes to game consoles, and it's made even more common by these new all-digital consoles like the PS5 discless and the Xbox Series S. The what if part of this conversation comes in when I say, what if we get rid of the digital store? Well, now you can't get these games digitally anymore, so number one, you have a paperweight console if you bought an all-digital version, and number two, more digital copies were sold than physical. So the physical copies are harder to find, and when you do find them, they are significantly more expensive. As much as I don't like Sony in recent years, especially their fan base, they did do something at least half right, which is that on the PS5 that they just released, the Slim model, you can buy a digital version, but you can then add the disk drive back to the digital version. I think that's really cool. Now, you still need to actually have it online so that it can activate your disk drive, which is why I said that they got it half right, but at least it's there. Who knows if you'll be able to activate your disk drive once those servers go offline, but for now, you at least have an option. But if you buy something like an Xbox One S all digital, or a Series S, or the new Series X with no disk drive, you are totally screwed, and in the next 15 or 20 years, when these consoles are no longer supported and you can't get games for them anymore, you're gonna have to spend more money on the disc versions and even more money on the disc games, which even then isn't really gonna matter because these discs only hold about half the game and require you to download the rest anyway. Like I said at the beginning of the video, I don't have a solution for this. The most I can do is just make people aware of the repercussions of this all-digital, server-reliant future that we are marching towards with gaming. Because think about this for a second. The 7th generation of consoles is probably the last generation of consoles where you will be able to play almost its entire library of games without relying on a server or a download, or an internet connection for that fact. And the Xbox 360 was that generation of consoles' best case scenario. It ran from 2005 until 2016 in production, which is 11 years, and the online store that Microsoft ran through it ran for 19 years. The Xbox 360 had such a strong foothold in the gaming market that by the time the Series X and S came out, the Xbox 360 still accounted for 17.7% of the gaming market share. That is ridiculous and is a massive testament to the games library that you can buy on disc, throw into an original or an E model of the Xbox 360 and anything in between, and still play. Now imagine what it's going to be like trying to game on a PS5 or an Xbox Series X 19 years from now. If you have a PS5 and you want to put a disk drive on it, you might not even be able to get the disk drive to work because those servers might be down. You can't download a game anymore because the servers might be down for that. Some games might not even play because they need server access to even open the game. And if you buy a disc, the disc has half or less of the game on it and the rest has to be downloaded from, again, a server that might be shut down. Actually, speaking of game discs and how little they actually hold, my friends and I used to theorize about what the next form of game distribution media would be. And the common idea that we all sort of agreed on was something like this: a NAND-based chipset that would plug into the console. Or a cartridge. Funny how things kind of come full circle, right? And ironically enough, the only console that ended up going with some sort of NAND-based cartridge system for their games was the Nintendo Switch. Like seriously, the oldest, most outdated, underpowered console of the current generation of consoles has the most futuristic game distribution method? Seriously? Look, at the end of the day, the Xbox 360 online store going away isn't a massive loss considering how many games were exclusive to that store versus how many games came out in total for the console through other methods like physical media. But it's worth noting that with modern consoles, digital game sales have long outpaced physical game sales. At time of recording in 2024, physical game sales only accounted for 17% of overall gaming revenue, whereas digital gaming sales accounted for 83% of total gaming revenue. And because of this, we have more games than ever relying on servers to buy them, download them, update them, and hell, even provide keys just to be able to play them. But what happens when those servers go away? I don't know, but I guess we'll see. Either way, that's been it. Thank you all so much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it. I am back. I had to take a bit of a break. I was a little burnt out there, but we're back, and it's been a minute since I've talked about why I think physical media is still better, so here we are. I've got a lot of videos planned, and I hope you all stick around for it. If you like this video, definitely make sure to leave a like. If you want to see more videos like this, definitely make sure to subscribe so you don't miss it. And aside from that, thank you all so much for watching this video, and I'll see you in the next one. Make sure to be there, and have a good one.